Welcome to the Goodyear City Council meeting. We're excited to have you be a part of this important public process. Tonight, you will have the opportunity to address City Council on both non-agenda and agenda items. The agendas and the speaker request cards are located on the tables outside of council chambers. You must fill out a speaker card in order to address the City Council. Please hand in your completed card to the City Clerk before the start of the meeting. If the meeting has already begun, please hand it to any city staff. You may also check the I do not wish to speak option on the card. This allows you to still voice your opinion on an item on the record without having to speak. Public comment on a non-agenda item will take place during the citizen comment portion of the evening. These are items that don't appear on tonight's formal agenda. The City Clerk will call your name when it's time for you to speak. At that time, please approach the podium and state your name for the record. We ask that you speak clearly into the microphone. You'll have a maximum of 3 minutes, and there is a timer visible from the podium. When the light changes from green to yellow, your time is coming to an end. When the light turns red, your time is up. Note that you may also choose not to speak if other speakers before you have said what you wanted to say. Shouting, cheering, and loud noises will not be tolerated, and violators may be removed for disrupting the meeting. Goodyear City Council meetings stream live on Facebook and YouTube, and online at goodyearaz.gov. Thank you for your participation in tonight's meeting.
I'd like to call to order the regular meeting agenda on March 2nd, 2020. I'd like to have you, I'm going to get this out. You're doing the prayer. Please join Councilmember Kale in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father God, we have so much to be thankful for. Thank you for the safe emergency landing of the aircraft in Goodyear today. Thank you for our spring training visitors, the city staff who make it a welcoming and safe experience, and the baseball teams and their community investment. Let the entire season be safe and memorable for all. Father, we ask for your divine intervention and protection over our nation and the issue of viruses and fear of viruses. Protect us from any health or economic crisis that would seek to get a foothold and cause us harm. Psalm 23 tells us that you are our shepherd. You care for us always. You offer a resting place for us. You soothe our fears. Even when the path takes us through the valley of deep darkness, fear will never conquer us because you are with us with your protection and guidance. We are comforted, and your authority is our strength and peace. We cannot express enough of our thankfulness for our military, police, and fire personnel. Protect them always from dangers seen and unseen. We ask this all in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilman Kano. We are all present. We have no communication items tonight. But now is the time for citizens who would like to address the City Council on any non-agenda item within the jurisdiction of the Goodyear City Council. Do we have any cards?
Yes, Mayor.
All right.
Cindy Lithicum.
So let me just, come on up while I'm talking. Okay, so this is what we will respond to. The council will listen to comments and may take one of the following. 1, to respond to criticism. 2, to request that staff investigate and report on the matter. And 3, request that the matter be scheduled on a future agenda. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. The yellow light will let you know you have 20 seconds left to speak. So please, before you speak, identify yourself by clearly stating for the record your name and if you're a Goodyear resident. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I'm a Goodyear resident. My name is Cindy Linthicum. I live at 4050 North 162nd Drive.
Can you put that microphone? We won't count that time. Don't worry.
A couple years ago, March 2017, this council had a meeting about the UPS coming in at Indian School in Saraville. I brought up the issue about the trucks causing noises at this intersection. We were assured, or we were told, I have paperwork here, that the truck route would be Saraville and Camelback. And why would I not believe that? There's no homes that are ever going to be there. Well, instead, you've closed off Saraville to Camelback. You have to go another way to get to Camelback. And now all these trucks are coming within feet of my backyard. I mean, feet of my backyard. And that's all we hear all day and night are trucks. Excuse me. Hundreds of trucks. And it's going to increase because you've got Boeing that's there, and now the land is up for sale for more businesses to come in. And we hear it all day and night. I get anxiety when I go to sleep at night because that's all I hear are trucks. We hear them downshifting. We hear them increasing their shifting. We hear the brakes squealing. And I have a hard time going to sleep, so I have to take anxiety medicines. And then I lay there and I can't go to sleep because that's all I hear is the trucks. So now I have to take sleeping pills. I wear earplugs. When you wear earplugs, all you hear is yourself breathing and your heart. And we put $28,000 of new windows in our home and had them laminated. I can still hear the trucks through the windows. We watch TV, we hear the trucks. Our neighbor tried to sell his home, couldn't sell his home. The realtor said it was because of UPS. He got one offer and they lowballed it. And the realtor said that we lost money on our home. We saved for 15 years to move there. And if we sold, we'd have to file bankruptcy because we can't pay off the note. So how is this fair? I went to the meeting and you said, oh, we put buffers. There's no buffers from those trucks, none. You stand in my living room and you see all of UPS, all of their lights, and I can put that aside, but I can't put aside the trucks. Can you imagine living in a truck stop? Would you like to go to bed at night and hear truck after truck after truck? I mean, that's not the way I wanted to retire. So I'm asking if you could get a meeting together to have something done about these trucks. Because it's just not fair. You didn't protect your citizens in Pebble Creek and in Palm Valley at all. Nothing. There's no buffers. In the middle of the night, if you got a window open, which I'll never do again, to hear the crickets because I'll hear nothing but trucks. You hear beep, beep, beep from them working, and the facility itself is way over a mile from us, and we can still hear the beeps from them working all night long. It's a nightmare. So and when I was at the meeting, you made a comment that wasn't very nice and said I should have done my due diligence. I should have investigated before I moved there. Well, who would have thought I would have had a truck stop in my backyard? Why would you not have the trucks go down to Camelback where there's no homes ever going to be built? But instead of just feet, they're feet from our backyard. So I'm asking if something can be done at looking about not having those trucks come there. They could have put an entrance into their UPS facility further west down by the RV storage. There's a couple places they could have gone into their facility.
I appreciate you coming forward. I've given you well over the time because I know how upset you are.
That's okay. I'm done.
No, listen. I'm saying thank you for coming up with this. It certainly is something that's affecting your life. And at this point, we're going to turn that over for staff to look into it, investigate, and see what they could come up with. So be sure staff has her name and telephone number and everything she needs so there can be good communication. And I thank you for coming up. This was not easy for you.
No, it wasn't.
So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
All right, let's go to the consent agenda. Will the city clerk please read consent agenda items 1 and 2 by title only, please?
Number 1, approve agreement for mutual aid fire and EMS response between Rural Metro Inc. and City of Goodyear. Number 2, authorize fiscal year 2020 expenditure of funds up to $1.7 million for hardware and software annual expenses to a single state of Arizona appointed value-added reseller.
Thank you. Does anyone in the council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Can I have a motion and a second to approve items 1 and 2? Do I hear that motion?
Second.
I've heard a motion from Councilman Campbell and a second from Vice Mayor Stipp. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Stipp?
Aye.
Councilmember Loretano? Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Hampton?
Aye.
Councilmember Kano?
Aye.
Councilmember Pizzello?
Aye.
Mayor Lord?
Aye.
The motion carries.
Okay. I would like to remind council to wait for a motion and a second before you go into discussions, and you did a great job on that one. The next item is 3 on the business, to consider approving a budget transfer for the Bullard Wash Park restoration. And Deputy Director of Engineering, Sunset Mohan, will present. Mohan?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Sumit Mohan. I am the Deputy Director of Engineering. Am I hearing my echo? Let's just make sure. And I'm really excited to be working on this project for the City of Goodyear. Let me just bring up the presentation.
Excuse me, just one hold up. I have had no screen all night up here, so if anybody can, I've been looking at bills, so for this presentation, it makes it a little difficult to lean over the. Sorry to interrupt you
Oh,
like
no,
that, but I
it's
thought
all good.
everybody keeps telling me it's going to go on, and I've turned it on and off, and thank you. You're back on.
Oh, thank you, Mayor and Council. So just to bring you up to date on the Bullard Wash Tailwater Management Project, just to bring you up to speed on the location and the background, are the acoustics okay, or is this sounding weird? Too close? Is this better? Yeah. All right, thank you. So just to bring you up to speed on the location and the background, the park portion that we are going to talk about is between Camelback and Indian School Road. This park was improved in 2004. There is a 24-inch diameter drain pipe on the west edge of the wash and also a low-flow channel on the east edge. On September 23rd, 2019, the council kindly approved $695,000, which was our estimate for the emergency repair to fix 2 major blockages in this pipe at these 2 locations that you're seeing. We set up a temporary bypass pipe setup, and basically what you're seeing here are big pumps which took the intake of tailwaters and transported through these HDPE bypass pipes, which were 24-inch in diameter, and they were laid for the whole distance from Camelback to Indian School Road. And that bypass setup lasted for about 90 days until December 23rd. It was removed on Christmas Eve. Just to let you know, we solved several problems when we did the repairs. We replaced 2 defective sections of the pipe. Those were the structural issues that we solved by doing this. In addition, we hydrojetted using specialized equipment, which you are seeing here, special vac-on trucks, for removing the root obstructions that were causing operational issues. In addition, we mitigated future flooding risk, which is something that we had not initially foreseen, but we did go ahead and clean the inverted siphon pipe, which is underneath Indian School Road. While we had the bypass set up, it was a prudent thing to do. In addition, we installed curb to keep the water within the low flow channel. And in addition, we found out that the inlet portion here that was just south of Camelback was not sized properly when it was originally constructed back in 2004. So we knew it was prudent to go fix it now, which we did. Initially, the inlet looked like this, and the proper design had required it to be double the size. So we went ahead and we fixed it. and we made it the appropriate size so that the pipe that is 24-inch diameter can carry the flows properly. And you can see we had some challenges with it. This almost looks like bunker-style construction. This was a lot of concrete, and it added time and effort and money. So in this, while we did the restoration of the park, we made a lot of progress to try to bring the park to its pre-flooding status. We cleaned the walkways, which had become really very muddy and slippery with algae. We also cut a lot of excessive vegetation and the mud and the debris. We could not quite get to all of it because we ran out of funding at one point. We also mowed the park as best as we could to restore the park to its original conditions. Also, you will see on the right side of the screens, initially, there was a lot of mud and debris in the low flow channel, and we brought it to much better levels that would allow the water to actually flow through should the pipe flow full. Right now, I'm back here to seek authorization from you, Mayor and Council, for additional work. We need to install 2 valves. When we were fixing this pipe, then we found out that not having 2 valves in place caused flooding of the Goldschmidt field in the Falcon Park, as well as the retention basin north of the Falcon Park was flooding. We would like to install 2 valves so that this situation does not happen in the future. In addition, we would like to clean the remaining parts of the low flow channel. You will see that there's a lot of mud and debris still remaining, and you will see in a minute where this has come from. And we would also like to repair the damage that the bypass pipe left, like the ruts in the grass. And also we would like to pay the contractor for some of the unforeseen costs that came up due to the rains when they had to keep their pump watch personnel in place and also had to keep the bypass pipes running, even though because of rain, we could not make progress on the production or the repair work. Right now, we are faced with a brand new problem, which we are looking at addressing. We are finding a lot of excessive debris. Just when we thought we found a solution for handling all the water that comes our way, we are finding that a lot of cabbage, kale, aluminum cans, water bottles, tree roots, branches, golf balls, all kinds of dead frogs, large fish, they're finding their way into these inlets. We have 3 inlets on this pipe, and they're getting clogged. What you're seeing here is just south of Camelback, and right now we are really putting in a lot of effort, which is very labor intensive, and now we are looking at little more detailed engineering solutions of putting some debris capture mechanisms upstream of the 3 inlets so they don't get overwhelmed or clogged. But right now, engineering solutions take a little bit of time to plan and develop. So for the time being, we are just looking for just interim solutions. So it is our request to you, Mayor and Council, to please authorize $145,000 in funding for implementing these measures, which will include temporary solutions to mitigate the debris and the other items that I talked about. And $145,000 are available from savings on our Van Buren Street improvement project from Sarivale to Estrella, so that can fund for this. And in as much as I'm taking a risk in getting Nathan all excited, but I would have to quote Vice Mayor that we need to do this to return the park to its original pre-flooding condition because parks matter. That's all I have. Hopefully I kept it under 5 minutes.
Well, that's a lot. Thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you, Mayor.
Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience want to speak? All right. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the budget transfer, which is $145,000 of savings from the Van Buren Street Improvement Project, Sarivale to Estrella, for the Bullard Wash restoration? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Kano and a second from Councilman Hampton. Open for council discussion. Councilman Hampton.
So I appreciate you. I know there's a lot of hard work. It's a big project, so thank you I know residents from Pebble Creek came and they brought it up to us, and then we responded and we were able to at least mitigate and start to try to solve the issue there. So thank you for all the hard work and making sure that happened. But I just want to also ask, so So doing these things, the 145, that'll get us the 2 valves, and then we'll clean and repair. Is there any other? I mean, it don't sound like it's not going to solve the future issue with the blockages and things like that. Is there always going to be a continual maintenance cost? Do you foresee more maintenance costs to keep that up, to try to mitigate it continually so it doesn't keep getting backed up?
Mayor and Council, these are very valid questions that you're asking. And basically what we are doing is we are developing a multi-pronged approach. We are going to evaluate our all the debris that is coming from upstream, and we are going to evaluate different options, one of which being establishing many layers of debris control upstream. And since these are if this was, say, a wastewater treatment plant, then we could have installed a lot of different bar screens, rack screens, comminutors, many different things that require power to operate. We don't have quite that luxury here, but we'll still try to see what different mechanisms make sense to try to capture this debris upstream. And maybe if we have 3 to 4 different layers, then it'll become less labor intensive. Right now, we are having to have a contractor visit the site twice a day, which is intensive. And the other approach is, which we are also considering, is to try to approach the owners who are sending these tailwaters to us and see what our options are to encourage them and basically let them know that this is causing a problem for us. That's the other, sometimes maybe a long-term problem, but that is something that we should consider also, because right now we are getting all these tailwaters with very questionable quality. Just when we thought we could handle all the water, all this debris becomes a game changer. So until we put some engineering solutions in place, it will be a little bit of an operations and maintenance issue. That is really the honest answer.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Kano?
Oh, thank you for your leadership on this project. I just would love to see it get it finished and get the property, the land restored, so that all the neighborhoods and park users will be able to use it safely. Love the curbing of that channel, that low flow channel. I think that looks really sharp and will help a lot. So thank you, Sumit.
I appreciate that, Mayor and Council. And we are just hoping that if it is just tailwater that we are handling, the pipe capacity is such with 24-inch diameter that it can handle most of the flows. Only the flows beyond that amount will ever find their way into the low flow channel. And we do have a plan to make sure that we can communicate that water safely through the low flow channel.
Well, I agree. It's a great presentation. A lot went into that. So my worry is on the tail and the farmers, agriculture, because they run by different rules, which I'm not negative on them, but I think what they need to understand, there's one more step they need to take, and that's to keep that clean. It could be they've never foreseen this to happen. You know, they're busy doing their crops and would not think that the water is going to make a trail to a distant part. So I would like us to make sure we're following up on that one. All right? And so the first time that you finally get a group, you get to meet them, have a conversation with them, because that may go above the city if we don't get the cooperation. And it would lead us to the state to try to do something. Okay? I'm sorry, Wally. I talked before you. I apologize.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Sumit, I just wanted to thank you on behalf of the Pebble Creek residents. Both the mayor and I live in Pebble Creek, and we were the most effective of anybody. All of the Pebble Creek community was so affected when we were marooned on our island. But we want to thank you for diligently finding the problem, repairing the problem, and continuing to work with our HOA so that we can mitigate that water. I know this issue, we've been talking about this issue about how we're going to keep the drain clean, and I'm hoping that someone was going to have a best practice that will help us so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel on it. But we do thank you for doing this. We thank you for cleaning up the walkways for our kids to be able to safely get to school. Because of the algae, it was really a safety issue for them, and I was afraid someone was really going to drown in there, literally. I anticipate you will be back at a future date to ask us for additional monies when we have it totally solved. But until then, we're happy to support this because we know it's for the health of our community. So thank you.
Thank you. And the project team really appreciates your kind words of encouragement.
So you could have areas that we haven't thought about that will become having the same problems. So I certainly would like us to be, during this process of educating our communities, I don't know if we want to do it through In Focus or what, or how we, but I want to make sure that we would do that so that when they see this problem, they would report it to us if, in fact, we did not see it. So, okay? All right, thanks. We're going to vote on this. So,
Thank you.
discussion is done. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Let's go on to 4. On business item is to consider authorizing the city manager to submit the certificate of necessity ambulance application. Fire Chief Louisi will present.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Bring up my presentation. So tonight we are asking Council to authorize the city manager or designee to submit the Certificate of Necessity, or the CON ambulance application to the Arizona Bureau of Emergency Medical Services. So tonight I'll take you through a quick presentation. We'll talk about previous work sessions, the process itself, the financial modeling, phased-in approach that we're using, and then certainly be available for any questions that you may have. So previously we had done a work session in May 2015 and also February of 2017, which is hard to believe that that much time has passed already. And we actually had done a feasibility study that was conducted in 2015. As you know, as we've talked about previously, the ambulance service in Arizona is fully regulated, and that's done through the Certificate of Necessity process. DHS, the Bureau of EMS, regulates the ambulance service for the state of Arizona. Currently, there are 2 vendors that are allowed to operate within the city of Goodyear. So that's AMR and also Maricopa or Priority Ambulance. By owning and operating our own ambulance service, the city will provide a higher level of quality assurance and then continuity of care and reliability to our citizens. Units would be dedicated, so that's that reliability piece to the area, and creates a coordinated emergency medical service system to the citizens of Goodyear. And in the 2015 ambulance feasibility study, they recommended a deployment model that used 4 ambulances. So as you can see with the CO1 submission, that process, if we have a contested, so one of the vendors, whether AMR or Maricopa, contest our application, that could take up to 2 years. By statute, the Bureau has 450 days to decide on the status of our application. We anticipate fees could be anywhere from $450,000 or higher, depending on the length of time that is spent with our outside law firm and through this process. If we have a non-contested CON process, which has happened with Tempe, Peoria, and Surprise, we could go anywhere from 6 to 18 months, depending on some of the variabilities in there. And obviously, your legal fees are much lower for that process. Ambulance rates are regulated by the Bureau of EMS, not by council or a fee study. Current insurance payer mix in the city of Goodyear is very favorable and is strong in comparison to the cities that are in the Metro Phoenix area. Medicare or Access, which is our state Medicare program, Medicaid program, sets its own reimbursement schedules. Medicare is a fixed amount, and Access is currently at about 68%. So on a $1,000 bill, you would get about $680 back on that ambulance bill. Financial modeling looked at the last 5 years, so previous 5 years from today, to help develop a more accurate trend in our call volume and costing as well. So we are suggesting and have talked with council previously about a phased-in approach, which could be over 4 fiscal years. However, we can adjust those phases as necessary, but only would occur after the approval of the CO1 application. Ambulances would be phased in again over 4 fiscal years, or whatever that phasing that council determines is appropriate. We would start off with one 24-hour ambulance in the first fiscal year, and then we would, if we choose to, add additional ambulances annually. The ambulances would be staffed with civilian employees, and we would also bring on a billing specialist to help coordinate the bills prior to sending them off. So we'll look at the financial modeling, and again, as we talked about the years, but these also could be viewed in phases as well. So for this example, we use the phased-in approach. So as you can see, they run across, so one-time costs, ongoing costs, revenues, and then you can see in the 4th year, or the 4th phase, we start to create a positive there with a little bit over $1 million in revenue. So operational losses are reduced as the phases come online. We used the consultant reports. We also used other cities' informations that have launched ambulance services, and obviously our own fiscal practices. Major assumptions that are included in this are level of bad debt, which it varies. You know, certainly the amount of money that we can gain through our billing, whether that bad debt, how that varies is going to vary from year to year, and also employee rate of pay. So that's the end of my presentation. So again, we are asking council tonight to authorize the city manager to, or designee to submit the CON application. We are at that point in our application process. So I'm available for any questions.
Appreciate the information. It's long awaited, hasn't it? Those are that's a special word. So are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Then can I have a motion and a second to authorize the city manager or designee to submit the certificate of necessity, which is a CON, ambulance application to the Arizona Bureau of Emergency Medical Services. Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
I heard a motion by Councilman Campbell and a second by Vice Mayor Stiff. It wasn't meant. You know, there are times that's meant to say that, but this one wasn't. Yeah. Okay, great. I appreciate that. Okay, council open for discussion. Councilman Pizzello.
On that phase 1, the $2 million, when do we expect that to hit which budget year?
It really, it really depends. It's currently in the budget today, so if magically we get the CON approved April, that we could start that process of hiring, bringing it on some of the one-time costs. But it's going to be really dependent upon when the CON application is approved and then when we're authorized to start the beginning service.
Do we have that $2 million set aside right now? Is that yes?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's already budgeted. It's just sitting there until we kick it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman Canham.
So I read the courtesy review and there were no glaring red flags. So does that bode well for our application?
Sure. I think that goes to the hard work and the diligence that staff put into that. Certainly our outside counsel has really helped us and supported that process. I think our applications are very similar to other cities that have been successful. So I'm going to stay optimistic because that's one of our core values, and we're going to press forward. So it's very difficult to tell. It really depends a lot on who can test the application.
So other than obviously a financial interest, what would be a basis for a contested application?
I think one of the things they could make an argument for is that there's already enough providers in the area. There's not enough work to go around, as it were. But I think with our current provider, with Maricopa, they are interested in helping us get started in phasing us in. As previously stated, in previous work sessions, AMR really wasn't that interested in doing that. So I think there will be enough to go around work for us.
Thank you. Yes, Councilman Naratano.
First of all, I want to thank you for the past 5 years for all the hard, yeah, that's right. That's been a long time to get us to the finish line, but thank you and the whole team for all the work to get us here. Just so the public knows in the other work sessions, Maricopa, as we phase in, will stay as a provider, correct?
Correct, yeah. So they'll stay with us as we go through the phased-in approach. We've talked with them multiple times. They're very interested in helping us be successful in this process. So as we phase one in, they'll look at the volume, they'll look at what's going on, their unit hour utilization, which is a great way to measure ambulance reliability and usage. And they'll either start to pull one out or maybe they'll keep it in part-time. So there's a lot of different variables that can go there, but the main focus will be providing the highest level of care to the citizens.
And just so people who may have not followed the work sessions over the last several years, there'll still
Sure.
be one designated pretty much for EMR up there as well.
Yes, yeah. The currently is today in our contract and has always been, and that would be the process going forward as well. So
Thank you so much for your hard work.
thanks.
Councilmember Campbell?
Well, this is a great day for Goodyear. We have waited so long, Chief, and we have asked and asked and asked and asked and asked for this CON. We've talked about it, and I honestly thought this would happen 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and now it's now.
Yes.
And I really feel we have done everything we possibly can to get in line to have our own ambulance providing continuing care to the Goodyear residents, and that's what they expect and what they will enjoy. We're not in it to make money.
Mhm.
We know that. We understand what the reimbursement rates are,
Yes.
and we understand about the uninsured people, and we know that this is just going to be another service that we're giving our residents. So we can't wait till we get our certificate, and then it starts all over again.
Yes.
The waiting. So thank you,
Yes.
Chief, and thank everyone who's been involved in drafting it and looking at it, and the attorneys and finance and the city manager's office and your office, all of your firemen. It's been a real team effort. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Big shout out to Doug for helping us through this. He really took on the financial modeling piece. And there were times where we would go back and forth multiple times in a day, and he was always very responsive. So big shout out to him.
Councilman Hampton?
Just to say thank you. Thank you to the staff. Thank you to the team for all the hard work.
Thank you.
Well, it's long awaited. Congratulations. So let's vote on this happy vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
All right, this brings us to the end of this meeting. We have a special meeting following this. So does council have any comments, accommodations, reports on current events, requests for future items? None? All right. Does the city manager have anything to report? None. Okay, so the next meeting will be a regular meeting on March 23rd, 2020 at 6 p.m. So this meeting is adjourned.